Hello everyone, this is Godzilla Wolf 1 and I'm back with another toy review. And today's review will be on the Omega Max Megazord from Power Rangers SPD, or as it was known in Japan in Deca Ranger, Deca Bike Robo. And well, this is kinda sorta one of my favorite mecha. Kinda sorta because this particular part of it isn't, but something else in the review is. But let's get started. In SPD, this was the main mecha of the Omega Ranger, who was a ball of light. That's basically the amount of character development he had. He was a ball of light. One thing to note really quick, this part can swivel down, except on mine, because it broke off and I had to super glue it back on. I don't really care, because I don't really see why it swiveled in the first place. But if you care about that, yours should be able to swivel. But in Japan, this was the main mecha, I believe, of Deca Break, who was not a ball of light. And it's pretty cool. Let's bring it in closer. I should note I got this thing second hand, so there are some scratches on the paint, but overall looks good. Nice head sculpt, honestly. I do like the head on this thing. Looks very much like a police motorcycle driver's helmet. But those are obviously not fists. Nice red plastic. I love the red plastic in this toy line, honestly. I really do. Has a wheel on the chest, down the leg. There's some secondhand stuff there. The feet. Oh, one thing to note, because I've actually seen toy reviewers mess this up. This thing right here, it goes in and out. What this does is lock the ankle joint in place. So, without it in place, this goes back and forth. With this in place, no movement. That'll be really important later on. The arms, nice blue hands, these big silver sleeves, and backpack kibble. And these nice big shoulder pads, which actually do have some really cool little design elements, especially on top. They're not just bare plastic. Now in Japan, these were not metal, but they had a chrome coating on them. So that is one change between this and the Japanese version. And overall, I do like the design. In the show, this is a lot less squat. There's more robot here. But, well, it is a Six Rangers mecha, and oftentimes the Six Ranger mecha, unless it's an independent one, does kind of get a little shafted from time to time. Well, the toy anyway. In the show, it normally is pretty cool. As for articulation, the standard, he has 360-degree shoulder joints. One thing I do note is there is this on top, which is another female Zord connector port thingy. So you can actually pop the arms off. They do come off, and you can put them on sideways so you can get a little more posability if you want to. Well, fake posability. But I wouldn't recommend it because on mine, these are kind of tight. But also, one unique bit of head articulation, I spoiled it a little bit, is his head can rotate 360. Which is very unique. Most mecha do not get a head rotation, so it's nice to have one. Now, he does not have any accessories or anything, but he does have these nice wrist blades, which he did use in the show. These were his main weapon, though I think they were bigger in the show and more impressive looking, but you can get some nice blade poses out of them. I'm just glad he has a head rotation, because that can kind of be helpful for a few poses that kind of hide his weird proportions. And now let's do some scaling. Here he is with the original SPD Megazord. A little bit taller, as the Six Ranger mecha normally is. Often the Six Ranger mecha is bigger to accommodate the combination. Yes, these do two combined. Spoilers. I will say I do like how these two look together. Like, they do look like they're different robots. They had a unique feel, but this still looks like it belongs on the same team as this guy. I do like that. That's appreciated. And once more, I have always liked the siren motif on these guys, even if his aren't functional. Oh, and one more thing to note. This piece here, that's the visor, can come all the way down, which he does in the show for his finisher. Or it can go all the way back if you so prefer, but canonically, when he's not using it, it's supposed to be right there. Interesting enough, it does kind of ratchet, which is kind of interesting. Now on to the next size comparison, the Legendary Megazord. About the same height as the Legendary Megazord, maybe a little bit taller. But I think a lot more bulkier. This guy's not light. This guy isn't a light Megazord. Dino Charge Megazord. Once more, about the same height. So he is pretty good scale with the more modern mecha. So, yeah. Pretty good scale, pretty good articulation for a mecha, and cool design. But of course, he's called Deca Bike Robe in Japan. Guess what he turns into? Now, first off, and this is one of the reasons for the head rotation, you turn his head all the way around. And then you basically completely disassemble everything but his arms. Well, first before you do that, you slide these down, and they come over and cover his hands. Take the shoulder pads off. You don't need to take this off, but I'm going to just for the sake of it broke and I had to super glue it back on, so I don't want to break off again. The fists on the chest, which are not hiding themselves. This part back here. And then you take his legs off. Well, first you want to disconnect this thing so he can sit down there. Oh, okay, I've actually got to disconnect these first. Yeah, these have to be disconnected. Because if you don't, this gets in the way. And interestingly enough, this little tab here folds in and out all nice and pretty. In robot mode, this hides away, which is nice. Then you just click these together, make sure they click, which normally isn't a problem. Then you want to take this guy, these tabs right here will peg into these tabs right here. Let me see if I can get a good shot of this. And this does take an annoying amount of force. This is my least favorite part of the transformation because that's a disproportionate amount of force, I think. And you want to rotate these up like this so they'll be exhausts. Then you got to figure out which side these go on. Now, these do have these parts right here, which do tell you where they go. They plug into one of these. Now, you want the side with the wheel facing down. So this one goes on this side. Sorry if you couldn't see that. And this one goes right here. Yeah, he's a parts former, but he's a Six Rangers mecha. And if the Six Ranger mecha combine, it often is a parts former, unfortunately. Then you want to take these fists and this piece and snap them together right like this on both sides. Simple enough. And then you want to take these parts right here, which do kind of worry me because this is translucent plastic, but it really doesn't bear a lot of stress. And then you want to snap these in. Well, you want to make sure that these parts right here are in these little divots right here, if you can see it. I'm not sure if you can or not. You probably can't. But then you want to line them up all correct. It's easier said than done because, especially if you're like me and kind of worry about the longevity of this thing. But that looks about right. On mine, I'm having a bit of trouble right now, but I think I got it right. Then you just want to plug this back in where it was, and you got yourself its bike mode. Now, the problem with bike mode is I don't think my camera can actually lower enough to properly demonstrate it. So I will bring it over. Big, massive motorcycle. This thing is not light. Like, I can hold it with one hand, but it's not very light. And rolls just fine. Squeaks a little bit, but that might just be age, because this thing is getting on in years. And sorry my camera can't seem to go low enough to actually film it. I kind of need my camera to be a little bit higher for a little bit later in this review. But yeah, pretty cool. I mean, yeah, you can't see it very well right now, but trust me, it is pretty cool. Sorry about that. But now we can do one other thing. we can combine him with this guy in two ways, which is why I did it in the order I did. So first thing you want to do is take off the mecha's legs. And these will... these will peg into the side here, and you want to make sure you got them on the side they would be if the Megazord still had its legs on it. So you want to peg those in right like that. And okay, something seems to be going a little bit off with this guy, but he seems to be just fine. Then you just take the torso and fold his legs forward such that you can slide them into where the legs connected in the robot mode. Let me see if I can fix something a little bit more stable there. Then you just want to slide him in, and if you do have his lights and sounds on, they will go off just like if you were normally combining him. And there you go. You have, I believe this was just called Riding Deca Ranger Robo in Japan, which is basically just the Deca Ranger Robo / SPD Megazord riding it. But it does look fairly impressive like this. I mean, it is heavy, actually. I weighed this thing, and it is like 4 pounds, which for a Sentai Mecha ain't light. But it does roll perfectly fine with all this weight. Pretty good. I wouldn't call this a carrier Zord because, well, it's just a giant motorcycle, but it still looks pretty cool. And it's one of my preferred ways of displaying him because it just looks pretty awesome. Naturally, the disconnecting looks a little unnatural, but it kind of looks pretty cool. Okay, let's actually get on to the main event now. To combine the two, you want to pop these off. In fact, you, for reference, just pop everything off. Like I said, this guy's a parts former, so... But then again, a lot of Six Ranger combinations are. And then you just want to pop this guy off, which, as I said, takes more force than it should. Sorry I had to do that off stream, but like I said, it takes more force than it probably should. Then, you know, just pop the legs apart and fold up that little tab in there and stand him up. And don't forget to flip the tab out to lock the ankles in place. I've seen toy reviewers forget to do that and give the toy a bit more of a bad grade than they should have. And this is why my camera is a bit higher than normal, because I knew I'd be getting here. And my camera actually cannot physically film this thing at its full height unless I have the tripod legs extended. So that's kind of why I'm filming this like this. But let's take the arms off and fold up the fists. And then we take the two, what were the legs of Deca Ranger Robo Delta Squad Megazord, and snap them in. And you do want to make sure they are snapped into the side they would be on if they were still the legs. And then you want to take our fists from before, and there's this black piece right here, and a little hole on the bottom of each leg. And what you want to do is just pop it right in, like that, and like that. Then you want to take the arms and figure out which side they would have been on if you originally had them. So they want to go on the same exact place they were before, and tab in up here. Then take the chest piece. You don't have to go in this order, but you want to get them into little, barely visible slots right here in the sides of the torso of the Deca Ranger Robo or Delta Squad Megazord. I keep calling it Deca Ranger Robo. I don't know why, considering I grew up with the Delta Megazord. Delta Squad Megazord. Then you want to take this guy, rotate his limbs out to be kind of like that. And there's two little slots right in the back here. They're not very visible, which is actually something I like, but I'll get into that in a little bit. And you just want to get them such that they pop in there. Then you want to press down and sorry, I got tongue-tied. What was the seat of the motorcycle mode snaps over the spoiler of the red. I believe it was Delta Runner 1. Then you take the big helmet and you snap it down, and there you go. Now you have, I believe this was Super Deca Ranger Robo in Japan. Here in the States it was the Delta Max Megazord. And this thing is heavy. Like I said, I weighed this thing. This thing is like, I believe, 4 pounds, which for a mecha is very heavy. Also, the sound effects still work. You can get the lights and sounds because they designed it such that you could. And here's the cool part. You'd think with these things up and these things up here, you wouldn't be able to rotate the arms, but they're actually positioned just perfectly that you can. Which I think is a nice touch. And I know this is a backpack back here, but I honestly like how the exhausts look. In the show they do actually act as boosters, so those actually do have a purpose, which I like. And articulation, of course, arms move 360, but you do get one other new articulation piece, which is the fists on at least this hand do rotate. So that's nice. On this hand, they swivel very slightly back and forth, but can't due to the ridges on the vehicle mode. But pretty cool, and of course the other sound effect also works just fine. And let's turn him off. So yeah, that is this. One thing I do like is, while there is a backpack, as I said, and the exhausts do have a nice look to them, and he's pretty clean. Like, except this is about the only bit of kibble on him, and I actually like how it looks. And kind of adds to the booster aesthetic. And in the show, he would basically just rush forward and beat the ever-living tar out of you. But these hands actually can hold all of the Delta Squad Megazord's normal weapons, which actually gives me a chance to show off something I forgot in my original Delta Squad Megazord review, which is that these little bits of the VTOLs can actually pop off. And you can flip that out and put them in. I forgot that in the original review. Someone reminded me in the comments. I read your comment. Even though that was several years ago when I was a lot younger and about to go to college. But yeah, he can hold all of the weapons that the normal Megazord did come with. And I just realized you can do that. You can fold these out and have them like be big Gatling guns. I'm not going to put those back on because it doesn't really affect the appearance and it's a bit more difficult. But yeah, I really like this guy. Now, as for sizing, because that's important, he's big. Like, he's a good head and shoulders taller than your average Megazord that we get nowadays. In fact, after I show off this guy, and yeah, same height difference, but a lot more bulky now. Here is the Claw Armor Megazord from the Samurai line. Honestly, they're about the same height. But I do like this guy better. He's one of my favorite mecha of all time. And one of the reasons is, this guy, I never really liked how the top half was basically Daikaio / the Claw Armor Megazord. And that was about it. It looked more like the Claw Armor Megazord than Shinkano. This, when you say this is Super Deca Ranger Robo, I believe you. And I'm running out of time, so if you find this for a good price, get it. If you don't find it for a good price, pass it. But don't get the Omega Megazord on its own. Get the two of them. They make a great pair, and it really is awesome. So yeah, get it if you can find it for a good deal and have the Delta Squad Megazord. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys next time. Bye! I still don't have a catchphrase.